Howdy, hi. It is Deer Job Sports College Basketball Picks and Predictions for Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. We are looking at the best bets of the day. Let's get into the video. All right, first things first, got to recap previous day's results. Really good day. We go 6-2, bringing our season record to 114-85. For every loss, I had $3 to the giveaway fund. With 2 losses, we had $6 today, bringing our season total to $90. Nobody gets taken off or added to the banned list. However, I will note, if you watched the Florida Duke game today, you will see the 4th person on the screen is Xavier Lee. He went 1 of 10 and was, I don't want to say single-handedly the reason they lost, but maybe he is not good at basketball. All right, I'll recap these games real quick. Then we'll get on to the 7 games we got for tomorrow. All right, first game of the day. Actually, I think it was second game of the day. UT Martin at home, chasing off against Charleston Southern. Final score, Martin 73, Charleston Southern 56. It was honestly a pretty tight game up until, 12 to 13 minutes left in the second half. And then UT Martin shot a whole bunch of free throws. UT Martin, 25 of 32 from the free throw line. Charleston Southern, 7 of 12. Martin won the rebound battle by 7. They won the turnover battle by 6. The free throw battle by 20. They lost the field goal percentage battle. Neither team shot the ball well. 34%, 32% from the field. But we take it. Thank you, UT Martin. Next game, Texas A&M minus 2.5 at Pitt. This is why you never bet Pitt basketball. They are not good. They will never be good. Final score, Texas A&M 81, Pitt 73. I want to say Texas A&M led basically the entire game. Their largest lead was 12. Pitt's largest lead was 4. A&M 44% from the field, 91% from the free throw line. They won the rebound battle. They won the turnover battle. This is just what Pitt does. They lose important basketball games, home or away. It does not matter. They just lose because they're not good. Next game. This probably should have been my favorite bet in the day. I forget who said it in the comment section. This flew over. This made no sense why it was this low. Cornell at George Mason. We the over 152.5. The final score, George Mason 99, Cornell 81. Mason shot 56% from the field, Cornell 49%. A bunch of three-pointers were made. They both shot a decent amount of free throws. It made no sense why this was so low. Cornell's totals have been flying over this number. I think maybe just because they thought George Mason's defense was decent, but it doesn't matter how good your defense is if Cornell is going to pull up from 3 nearly every time down the court and make 13 of them a game. It doesn't matter how good a perimeter defense you play. They're just going to start hooping. Next game, Murray State minus 16.5. This did not look ideal for the first little bit, but then second half, they blew the doors open. Final score, Murray State 84, Morehead State 52. They were only up 5 at halftime. They win the second half alone by 27 points. They shoot 43% from the field. Another massive free throw disparity. 29 free throw attempts for Murray State, 10 for Morehead State. Morehead, 37% from the field. They lose the rebound battle by 20. 20 rebounds. That's got to be the largest I've seen in a long time. Morehead State, not good at basketball. Their next game at Presbyterian, we will be fading them. Next one, Houston Christian plus 12.5 at North Texas. They ended up losing that game by 2. North Texas should not be laying double digits to anyone in America. 75-77 final score. North Texas actually shot the ball really well. 62% from the field, 53% from deep. They lose the turnover battle. They win the rebound battle. Somehow Houston Christian shot 32 free throws, but they only made 19 of them. They probably should have won this game if they wouldn't have gone 59% from the free throw line. But plus 12.5, never a doubt. Then Sam Houston, Oklahoma State, with the over 168.5. This also never really a doubt. Final score 93-83 with Oklahoma State taking home the dub. That lands at 176. Our losers, I'll talk about this one first since I have the score pulled up. We had OK State minus 13.5. They win by 10. It was a fraudulent 10-point win. They were down 7 at halftime. They did not play well. Another massive free throw disparity. 28 free throws for Oklahoma State. Only 11 for Sam Houston. Oklahoma State's problem, they couldn't shoot the ball from deep. 6 of 23 from beyond the arc. Not ideal. They win by 10. This was not a 10-point real victory. This was like a 2 or 3 point victory. They dressed it up with free throws at the end. Then our other loser, Butler minus 18.5. We had this covered with 2 minutes left. They were up 22 points. Then Thad Matta put in the bench. Eastern Michigan proceeds to make 2 3-pointers in a layup. Butler wins 84-68. That is 16 points. That is no good for a minus 18.5. And that is how we go 6-2. So now let's get into the picks for tomorrow. All right, first game we got. This is another noon tip-off, so if you like being a semi-large degenerate in wagering during your workday, this one's for you. I will take Lipscomb minus 11.5 at home to Tennessee Tech. Probably seems like a lot to lay against a Tennessee Tech team who's 3-5, but they're awful on the road, 1-4 straight up. This is their 4th true road game in a row. In-state battle, but I think they're about to get rocked. Tennessee Tech 3-5 on the year. They did just lose a road game to Georgia by 44 points. I don't really think that matters too much, though. Georgia's an absolute wagon. They have 2 wins this year against Division II schools. Their other win was USC upstate by 4. They play quick, but they don't shoot the ball well. That is not conducive to winning basketball games. 27% from three-point land this year. That is awful. Their offense and defense both ranked bottom 100 in the country. That is not ideal. Lipscomb 4-4 on the year, 2-0 at home though, riding a nice 2-game road winning streak. Their losses were their first 4 games of the year against, that is not Vandy, that's supposed to be Vanderbilt, Mercer, UNC Asheville, and Belmont. Those are all decent programs. Lipscomb makes 12 3-pointers a game. They have a top 150 ranked defense. They're top 50 in assists per game. At home, noon. I'm assuming this is one of those like field trip games, so there's going to be a ton of kids in the audience just screaming. Normally, when those games happen, the home team wins by 1,000,000. So I'll take Lipscomb minus 11.5. All right, next game. If you want to talk about absurd numbers to be laying, we're going to take a MAC team laying 20.5 points at home. Give me the Zips at home to Bucknell. This is probably the largest line we're going to lay with the mid-major all year. Akron has been beating the piss out of these other mid-major schools. They've covered this number every single time they've played one of them, and Bucknell is awful this year. 2-7 on the year so far. Their only wins came in their first 2 games against Delaware, who we watched a few nights ago be absolutely atrocious, and then Mount St. Mary's. They have now lost 7 games in a row. Most recently, they got destroyed at home by Cornell, 101-72. They shoot it just 40% from the field, bottom 30 team in rebounding. They're young. They start 2 underclassmen, and they're really small in the backcourt. They're going to get absolutely shit on. Akron 6-2. Their 2 losses were on the road to Purdue, and they covered that game. And then they lost to Yale in overtime by 3 in the Virgin Islands. They just beat Milwaukee at home by 24 points. Their previous home games, they beat Princeton by 35. And then the game before that, they beat Princeton by 35 the game before that, period. Senior team, they scored 96 points a game. They shoot it 53% from the field. I legitimately think Akron could get an at-large this year. They don't really have any massive games coming up, and they should be able to damn near run the card in MAC. Akron's going to be like a 4 or 5 loss team max. Give me Akron laying the big number. Bucknell, no good. All right, next game we got. If you are new here, I strongly suggest you do not bet Arkansas. This is me being stubborn. I've faded Louisville basketball for 1.5 years now. It very, very rarely goes my way. But I'm going to take Arkansas plus 2.5. Woo Pig Suey. Go Coach Cal. Get the dub. Louisville, 7-0 on the year. They are big wins over Kentucky by 8, Cincinnati by 10. Other than that, they haven't played anyone of note. This is their first true road game of the season. That Cincinnati game was a neutral site, technically in the city of Cincinnati, but we all know that was not a true home game. Louisville had the crowd for that one. Louisville averages 97 a game. That's top 5 in the country. They make 13 three-pointers a game. They're the third best rebounding team. None of what I'm saying is making you want to bet Arkansas plus 2.5. I'm just laying out what they got. Arkansas, 5-2 on the year. They've lost their only 2 big games they've played to Duke by 9 and Michigan State by 3. This is their first big home game, however. That Michigan State game was on the road, and Duke, I think, was a neutral site. Was that at the Garden? It definitely was not in Arkansas. That's all I know. The crowd should show up. They need this win real bad. They're 5-2. Give me Arkansas plus 2.5. I don't like it, but I have to do it just based on who I am. All right, next game, I'm hopping back on the train of fading Maine. Maine is awful and is 0-9 on the year. Ohio is 1-6 on the year, but they're not that bad. I think they're actually a good team. They've just played some really good opponents. This is Maine's 4th road game in a row. I'm going to fade them because they suck. They're 0-9 on the year. They just played 3 days in a row in Washington, D.C. That was, I think, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, they have to travel to Athens, Ohio. There's no way you're going back to Maine after that. So you're going to spend multiple nights in Athens, Ohio. There is nothing to do in Athens besides consume alcohol and yell at people in the streets. There is nothing going on. Maine, they score 59 points a game. That is the second lowest in college basketball. They play at the 20th slowest pace in college basketball. They only make 5 three-pointers. They're a young team. I also think they have the worst Division I coach. They're awful. Ohio, 1-6 on the year. They've played a very tough schedule. Their losses are to Arkansas State, St. Mary's, Louisville, Bethune-Cookman, which is actually a pretty bad loss, George Mason, who's very good, and LMU, who is also really good. They've had 8 days off since their most recent game in Florida. Jeff Bolds is a good coach. This is a veteran team. They are going to win this game 95-62. Give me the Bobcats to cover 10.5. Give me the over 138.5. All right, next game we got. I'm going to lay it at home with UNC Wilmington -9.5 to Marshall. Sunbelt versus CAA battle. Wilmington's going to be really good this year. If you look back historically at the Marshall program, very good at home. They are not very good when they hit the road. UNCW has played better teams this year and beaten better teams this year. I think they win this by double digits. Marshall 5-2 on the year, losing to Lipscomb at home in their most recent game by 23 points. Their other loss was to Virginia on the road by 26. They do play at a very fast pace. They shoot at 48% from the field. They got 2 big problems. 1, their size, and 2, their rebounding. Those 2 things, very correlated. That is not going to end well. They're young down low. They're small down low. Wilmington's the exact opposite. They are old as hell, and they're big as fuck. UNCW 7-1 on the year, their only loss being a road game to Kent State by 9 points in the second game of the season. They start 4 seniors. All of their starters are over 6'5", including their center, who is 7'1", and a junior weighing 260 pounds. This team is not to be messed with. Give me UNCW -9.5. All right, next game. We are going to continue fading the Ivy. Even though they are off the ban list, I still think they're bad at basketball. Give me Monmouth laying 3.5 points at home to Princeton. If you would have told me this line prior to this season starting, Princeton probably would have been -4, -5 at Monmouth. It is flipped all the way around. Monmouth is undefeated at home this year, and they're coming off of a very nice road win at Lafayette by double digits. Spirits are high. They normally have a pretty good home crowd, and playing a team in Princeton, which is relatively close to Monmouth, should be absolutely packed. Princeton 3-7 on the year, 0-3 on the road straight up. They're riding a 4-game losing streak. They've lost to Bradley by 24, Temple by 4, Vermont by 5, and St. Joe's by 2. So they play good enough basketball to keep it close, but not good enough basketball to win. They shoot 42% from the field, sub 70% from the free throw line. They're obviously missing a lot from last year's team. Xavier Lee, you should probably transfer back to... Actually, I don't think he has another year of eligibility. I think he's done after this year. What he should do, fake an injury, red shirt, transfer back to Princeton. That is what Princeton needs to be good again. Monmouth, 4-4 on the year. Their losses to LaSalle, Seton Hall, Syracuse, and Lemoyne Dolphins. All within a 12-point range, though, so they keep games tight. They return 2 starters from last year's team, bring over some Europeans to help them with size and efficiency down low. They rebound well. They play good defense. Just a quality squad. I will take Monmouth -3.5 at home. All right, final bet, and then the almost bets. This is my favorite bet of the day. It is pretty gross. So if you don't like gross bets, I would not take this. Omaha is +2 at home. A 3-6 team is only +2 against a team that is 7-1. Granted, 3 out of those 7 wins for Northern Colorado are against Division II schools. And then one of them was Air Force. So really, this team is 3-1 because 4 of their wins are fraudulent. Northern Colorado have played 3 road games this year at Pepperdine, Air Force, and Portland. This will be by far and away their toughest one so far. Their only loss in the year was, I think, their second game by St. Thomas by 1 point. They shoot 50% from the field, 37% from deep. But you have to remember, they've played 3 Division II schools, so majority of those numbers are just fraudulent as ever. Omaha, 3-6 on the year, but they are 3-0 at home. You can toss 2 of those away because they're against Division II schools. And then they beat Southern Utah by 5. Their road games have been against very, very solid opponents. Murray State, they lost by 8 points. That is a very good Murray State team. Abilene Christian on the road, they lost by 2. That's one of the toughest places to play on the West Coast. LSU, they got murdered. Colorado State, they got murdered. James Madison, they only lost by 11. FIU, they only lost by 13. They returned 3 starters from last year's team. They're very big down low. I think they're going to win this game outright. Give me Omaha +2. Hit the money line as well. Do it both. All right, then finally, we have the almost bets. Give me Southern Miss +2.5 on the road at Radford. Radford's not good this year. I don't think they should be laying points to anyone in the country other than like Maryland, Eastern Shore, some other really bad schools. Give me Southern Miss +2.5. Next one, Columbia at home to Hofstra. I think the Columbia, probably the second, third team in the Ivy. I think they're pretty solid. I did not take this because I cannot bet Ivy League schools. It's against my religion. But maybe you do like betting Ivy League schools. I think Columbia is not bad, -1.5. Finally, Eastern Washington on the road at Denver. This over is way too low. I will be betting this. I'm just not putting it in the videos picks because this game is a West Coast game that takes, I think it tips off like 9:30. I am not putting a 9:30 starting time in my videos because then I got to stay up way too late to recap it. But I am betting this. So Eastern Washington, Denver, over 155.5. All right, that's going to do it for me in this video. I appreciate you all watching and tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.